Let's talk to Mr. Trump's campaign chair, Paul Manafort, right here. He's joining us. Thank you for coming in.
George.
Let's pick up where John left off right there. You know, in that Fox News poll, it also shows that 70%, almost 70% of the voters thought that those comments about the Khan family were out of bounds. Why not apologize?
Well, I think Mr. Trump has paid the respect. It's just nobody's acknowledging it. He
hasn't apologized.
Well, what he said is that he respects and is totally sympathetic to the sacrifices that family has made. And he's talking about the son, and he's talking about the family. Beyond that, I think it's politics. I mean, the driving of what the right words are. He is appreciative of their efforts, but he sees them as part of something that's a part of a bigger thing, which is the campaign and the issue of ISIS and the issue of the mismanagement of foreign policy. And that's what he's campaigning on. He's not campaigning on the Khan family. He's campaigning on the.
So he's hoping to move on without an apology.
Well, he's expressed his sympathy. He's expressed his support for what the family is going through. I mean, it's like the same thing we're caught up in. What's the difference between I support you and I endorse you? I mean, we quibble over words, but the sentiments are there. And I think the sentiments about what he feels towards that family and what they went through, he's expressed. I mean, just because he doesn't say the words everybody wants, he said he is sorry for what they've gone through. And but he keeps going back to the main issue. And the main issue isn't this family. It's the main issue that caused the suffering of this family, which is the war in the Middle East, the destabilization, and the policies of Obama and Clinton that caused them.
He also said, as we showed in the piece, that the campaign is united, never been doing so well. Front page of the Washington Post, GOP at new level of panic over Trump. And one of Mr. Trump's allies, Newt Gingrich, is quoted in that article saying he cannot win the presidency operating the way he is now. Isn't that right?
Well, last night he spoke in two events in Florida. One had, I think, 10,000 people, another 15,000 people. And it's August. I mean, these are crowds you see usually at the end of September, beginning of October. So the support for Mr. Trump is there. The campaign messages are worked out. The themes of this campaign are settled. We know.
But will he follow them is the question.
Well, I think he is trying messages out on the campaign trail. He's been very successful in the primaries. He draws his strength and his messages from the interaction he has with the public, and he's doing that right now. I think
that's part of the question. He does get big crowds. He's got a very strong core of support. There's no question about that. But as you go into a general election, you got to build on that. That doesn't seem to be happening.
Oh, it's building. No, there's no. That's. I mean, look, we framed the election. The convention did that. This is a change election. The stakes of the election are: do you want more of the same, which is a third term for Obama, which is Secretary Clinton, or do you want real change? The American people consistently show they want change. The American people consistently show that they don't think she can bring the change, and that he's the change agent. So
but he hasn't been talking about that the last few days.
The last couple of days he actually has. If you're down in Florida, he was speaking on those messages. But this is the time in August, as you know, George, you've been through this, where you try different approaches out. September, October, you have your messages honed. The strategy's set. We know what it is. And Hillary Clinton can't change her position in that context.
One of the messages that Mr. Trump has been putting out the last few days, he's warned several times that this election is going to be rigged. Is that a real concern? And is it responsibly suggesting that the outcome of this election might not be legitimate?
Well, he's concerned about several things. He's concerned about the coverage of the election. Which is part of the election process.
His opponents say he's gotten $2 billion in free media.
Well, but for example, 12 times the two conventions. When you look at the analysis of the coverage of the two conventions, the Republican convention got 12 times more negative coverage than the Democratic convention.
But that's not a rigged election.
Well, but that rigs the process. If the messaging is one-sided, if the messaging is taking their narrative from one side of the campaign, that affects the messaging, absolutely. Now, do we think that we can overcome that? Yes, we do. But at the same time, it's a real issue to him.
And finally, he's heard John Call report on Reince Priebus, the chair of the RNC, who's been a strong ally of Mr. Trump, is livid about his refusal to endorse Paul Ryan. Are we going to see an endorsement? Has he spoken with Mr. Priebus?
Oh, yeah. Look, Reince Priebus is a strong supporter of Donald Trump and a good friend and supporter of Paul Ryan. And he's been a bridge to between the party and the campaign since Mr. Trump became the presumptive nominee in April. They've spoken several times in the last 2 days. They're very good friends. We're doing a lot of things together. there's a conflict within the Trump campaign, and we've sort of had a rule of not getting involved in primaries because it's usually not a good situation for the presidential candidate. Of course he's going to work with Paul Ryan. Of course he's tried to bridge the party together with Paul Ryan. But Ryan is also running against somebody who's not going to win, but nonetheless is a strong supporter of Mr. Trump's. And so it's not just in Paul Ryan's district. That gets all the notoriety because it's the speaker.
Mr. Manafort, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.